Hello traders and welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 196. Iliya here tuning in after some time of absence. I am still moving country, still trying to settle. I still haven't settled, but of course we gotta jump on the charts and not lose our focus, because when you take a little bit of a break, then you just jump on the charts and you're like brand new, like you haven't traded at all. So I'm pretty much still busy, haven't settled yet, and it's a little bit stressful. We're looking for accommodations as well, doing administrative stuff and like applying with the city hall and stuff. And yeah, it's been busy and then stuff. But again, it's gonna take some time from my side, but almost towards the end line, right? So of course, right now we're going to have a look at the market, how it has been developing in the past like 1 or 2 weeks. Currently, we have a lot of debt talks and a little bit of uncertainty in the market. So I've heard my team complain. Not a lot of greatly working setups, especially like trading on the lower time frames, like 15-minute. The market tends to seek liquidity up and down, up and down. Not really clear direction, but of course we're gonna see if that is the case right now. Try to throw a little forecast for the upcoming week and see what we can do. Hopefully you guys have been crushing it, having fantastic week. Thank you all for your kind messages that you're missing me and wishing me all the best. Truly means a lot to me and it fills my heart to hear from all of you. So yeah, without further ado, I suggest we jump into the analysis. Make sure you're subscribed, turn on the notification bell in order not to miss all the amazing content that is incoming once I settle somewhere and I can work at a quiet place. And yeah, let's actually jump into the video. Alright, as you know, we always start from the big boy, the Dixie. Have a look what the dollar is doing, because the majority of us are trading USD based pairs. And of course, before that, I would love to jump to have a look at the economic calendar. I don't have a second screen right now. I'm at a little tiny desk, so I'm gonna just be using one screen right now. So for next week, like last week, we had NFP. Just on Friday, it was positive. So new jobs were added. We have some other news as well that were pretty important. But for the incoming week, we have services PMI on Monday. Then we have interest rate for from the RBA. Very, very, very important for the Aussie traders. The next day, we have a speech from the RBA and also GDP. So like Tuesday and Wednesday, huge for the Aussie. Let's make sure to keep that in mind as we do the analysis. Retail sales on Tuesday for the euro, very important. Interest rate for CAT, Bank of Canada, very important for the CAT traders as well. And then we have GDP for the euro, which is very important. GDP for the JPY as well. And then on Friday, unemployment rate for CAT could of course be important. CPI for Chinese yuan, we don't care much about this. So it looks like a nice week. We have like a couple of interest rate decisions, but they're not like for the euro or for the dollar or something like this. So again, if you're trading Aussies or if you're trading CAT, be careful. Of course, I'm gonna tailor my analysis towards this. Let's make sure to remember we have interest rates for those currencies. And yeah, the week just started. I mean, the month also just started, so we haven't had any interest rate decisions yet. So next week is gonna be interesting to see how the market will react to those. So jumping onto the charts, again, as always, I love to zoom in and see what is happening right now. But again, from a zoomed out perspective, we have pulled back around 50% of this overall leg right there. Let me just take a normal FIP, right? 50% we tapped and we started reacting. Then we returned back and currently reacting again. You can see that we kind of failed to pick a nice direction. The market came in, created a lower high, then it came in down right there and just kind of swept and just broke like with a couple of pips probably right there on the weekly. And then here it depends on what you think. Okay, so is this like a liquidity grab or is this a break, right? And that's the big question usually you cannot get an answer to, because you're only gonna know if it's a liquidity grab once the market actually starts heading to the highs and takes out this high. So at this point in time on the weekly time frame on the Dixie, we're sitting inside this weekly supply and we just came inside, right? So what I also want you to pay attention to is the anatomy of the candles. Like, I mean, look at the bearish candles, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Chopping with wicks on the bottom. And then look at the bullish candles. 1, 2, 3, boom. Recovered all that bearish move. So there is a lot of bullishness coming in on the weekly. And then this week we had a nice indecision candle. It's a bearish indecision, wicks on both sides. This is probably we're getting a reaction from this weekly supply zone. But then if we just start dropping on the daily time frame, right? what I always love looking at nowadays is liquidity, because the market works a lot with liquidity nowadays, like sweeping highs, sweeping lows, right? We can see that within this supply zone there hasn't been any liquidity grabbed yet, right? The liquidity that I currently see is this. So I'm going to be market as liquidity that is available. And if you actually have a look on the daily time frame aligned bullish right here, and since then we have been bullish. Higher low, high, and currently we're pulling back for a higher low formation, because if we have a look, this is the last valid higher low formation. Right there we had kind of a little slowdown, wick up. I wouldn't really count anything right there as a valid higher low, because it's actually not, right? So to me, this is the major one right there. And as you can see, the market actually pulled back on Thursday and Friday with a positive NFP. We had a beautiful reaction. So my forecast potentially could be that we might be headed to take out this high first, maybe even take out this high, and then from there see if any bearishness is going to enter the DXY. I don't think so. Looking at this current momentum, knowing where the market is also on the monthly time frame, I do think we can start having some bullishness, but again, we never know. So transferring on to the most important time frame to me, which is the 4-hourly time frame, you can see this week we had a pretty much a nice kind of manipulation pattern. We got a range, manipulated above the range, initiated to the downside, and right now we're retesting. So this right there is a very powerful short. Right, so definitely right now we gotta have a couple of outcomes, because here we have a very important supply. You can even take it from there. Why? Well, because we broke structure right here, so we aligned bearish on the 4-hourly time frame. Right, this is the first push. That is the first range that aligned bearish. And usually what I tell you is that the first push does not pull back a lot, but this one is already above 50%. It's very strong as well, and it's reacting from a daily demand zone. So again, we're going to have a little bit of a battle right now between supply and demand. And again, this is why I don't look too much on the macro timeframes, because it gets confusing, right? So weekly, bearish, daily, bullish, 4-hourly, bearish. What do you listen to? Right? So what is in your strategy? In my strategy, I start from the 4-hourly time frame, but I'm always aware of the daily and the weekly. So in this case, I'm going to say, I just keep an open mind. If the market gets inside the supply zone, I'm just gonna drop to the 50-minute time frame, see how it develops, wait for this liquidity right there to be taken, see if the 50-minute gives me a bearish trend change and a short opportunity, I'm gonna take it. But if the market starts to very nicely push into the highs, then of course I'm going to be taking longs. So this is my analysis right now, guys. Again, this is an outlook. This is not signals. This is not kind of forecast. I hate doing forecasts because again, Monday opens and the market like opens down there and you're like, okay, so we have to adapt, right? So this is what I currently see, right? Daily is bullish. We tap inside daily. We can, of course, continue to push. We can take out this high. We can take some structural liquidity into the weekly zone, right? So bullishness is in play, but also the 4-hourly time frame just aligned bearish. It could just be a liquidity grab, right? Because the market pushed, kind of started to distribute. Right now we drop lower and we can, of course, continue going higher. So again, as I keep saying, flow with the lower time frames as well. With the 50-minute is massively bullish, then keep going with it, but also be open to all outcomes. So this is the Dixie, getting kind of both a bullish and a bearish vibe. So again, we got to give it some time, see how this 4-hourly supply is gonna react, and then of course flow with the market. So with that being said on the Dixie, let's have a look how the euro is going and to see whether we can get some more insights from that. Euro USD on the weekly time frame, as you guys know, it's pretty much an inverse to the DXY. If we just flip it, it pretty much resembles the DXY. Right, there is the DXY supply zone on the weekly time frame. Well, it's exactly the same on euro. So I'm pretty much just gonna drop a little demand zone right there, and you can see kind of the same thing happen. We had a very kind of balanced push into the highs. There is no imbalance, there is no strength, and then you can see to the downside we have like stronger candles. But again, this does not mean that the market is gonna like not respect this, because here we had something similar. It didn't push that strong, it came in very strong, but still it went on and made a new high. So weekly time frame is bullish. Daily, if you remember guys, a couple of outlooks before, as soon as we aligned bearish on the daily, which I believe is right there in terms of valid structure, I shouted for us to take out this low, and even like the last, I believe the last weekly outlook I did, we also forecasted this high to be taken. And this goes back to the liquidity lessons, This is like old supply and demand, old structural liquidity. People are looking to long from here. The market gets a reaction, blasts through the floor. Another one, give a reaction, blast through. Another one, give a reaction, blast through, right? And then again, you have taken so many losses that actually when the actual move occurs, you're not inside. So right now, knowing that we have taken so many liquidity areas right there, we start seeing like at the bottom right there, the market consolidate a little bit, big candle here, even bigger candle right there, a very nice engulfing. And then on Friday, of course, we have this little pullback. So my question is, right, when is this market going to be ready to push up, or is it going to be pushing up at all? Because again, if we look at it objectively, well, this is the last kind of daily lower high formation. Here we don't really have a lower high, like bullish candle, not really right there. So we came in, tapped inside this zone, and right now we're having a very nice bearish, it's not a bearish engulfing candle, but it's a very nice bearish candle on Friday, which was NFP. So we are gonna need a little bit of time. And as you can see, like the overall price action right there, not clean. Right here, also not entirely clean, although we're just bearish, right? This is the supply. We pull back into supply and then we just keep dropping lower and lower and lower, right? This is the first time we actually aligned bullish, in my opinion. You can take here as a break, but if you want to be really conservative, you can take this one as a break. Like this is the first 4-hourly alignment to the upside. And of course, you can take this as your valid higher low formation. So exactly the same as the Dixie, we're tapping inside daily supply, but the weekly is bullish and the daily is still bearish, but also the 4-hourly is bullish. So again, what I keep telling you guys, a trend forms for sure once you have two highs or lows established. So what we have right now is a downtrend. The market just broke the first lower high. Sometimes this happens, all right? So I would really love to confirm a trend if this happens. So we made actually the trend change, and then we confirmed with a structure break. But usually a trend change is enough of a signal to tell us, all right, there is some sort of a reversal coming in. I really like the momentum that we exited right there. I really like that we had a little range right there. The market manipulated below the range, initiated outside of it. So I have that little bullish vibe, but in order for me to take longs, I really need to see how the 50-minute is going to come in right there. Maybe even potentially take out this low as liquidity. And then if it's going to give me a 50-minute trend change bullish, and give me some bullishness like towards the upside so I can start taking longs. So that is my view on the euro. Like in terms of the macro time frame, I am more bullish than bearish because we have taken lots of liquidity, right? And we can of course expect a little bit of bullishness. But again, like we can of course continue going to the downside with the overall kind of macroeconomics. So again, focusing on the 4H, we have that recent bullish shift. Let's see if it's gonna hold, but if you get short opportunities, don't be scared to go short. So with that being said, stay tuned for Tuesday, in which we're gonna flow with the markets and see how Monday actually opened and what kind of opportunities we can take. So let me know what you also think in the comments about EU and the dollar. Let's have a look at Euro Yen. So we're still very bullish on the weekly time frame. We had like this major break right there. Let me just ensure that I'm correct because I haven't looked at this chart for a long time. But yeah, technically we were bullish. This was the major higher low formation, higher high, higher low. We did not break it. And then yes, technically this is our major break right there after quite some time. We pushed up, we pulled back, and yes, of course, this is our weak high. This is what we can expect to be taken. Is it going to be taken right now? We don't know, right? If it's not taken right now, then of course you can expect this low to become liquidity right there as a weak low, right? But of course, let's not try to forecast that far in time because this is also the weekly time frame. So overall, we have a bullish vibe. Daily, let's see what happens on the daily. Well, this was a major daily higher low formation. It actually got swept right there. It got broken. Then you ask the question, what caused this break? It was this. And then we also aligned immediately bullish on the daily. And then since then, we kind of rolled to the upside, Is there any kind of major higher low formation right there? Not something that I would take personally. Maybe this right there, which got taken. So again, guys, here slightly bit subjective according to your rules, because I don't have a rule on the daily time frame. Okay, what is a valid higher low, what is not? If you take this, it's broken. Even if you take this, it's broken. But if this is not valid to you, then you're still trading between this low and this high. So you can, of course, look at the market from this perspective. All right. So I still see a lot of bullishness right there on Euro Yen. So let's see what the forward is going to tell us. Again, you can see here a bit of choppiness, but it pushed up, it pulled back. It actually held from the overall 4-hourly demand, push up, pull back, higher high, higher low again, higher high. Then this was the last 4-hourly structure. It got broken right there with some very strange wick. Then we continue dropping lower. There is a where's the next break? Next break. This one, I wouldn't really take this one right there. Could be taken. Oh man, Euro yen is giving me trouble right now. I really don't like this kind of range because it confuses me, like what is the valid lower high formation. But to me, I would say that you can either take this one or you can either take the highest point. This personally, I don't use this kind of pullback for a valid one, although you can see there was a very strong supply zone right there. The market came in, printed a massive bearish candle, but then still would follow through. So you can look at it at multiple perspectives. You can say that this is also 4-hourly alignment, but according to me, I'm just gonna mark it just in case, right? Yeah, this is the highest point, high, but then it did not stay in the range. According to me, these two zones right there are very important. So which one do you take? Slightly bit subjective, right? But to me, Euro yen is still overall bearish on the FOH. So let's see. All right, it's a pair that I don't like, especially if you have a look like on the price action from Thursday, right? Wednesday was fine bearish, but on Thursday we started to chop around, so very slow. I would personally give it some time. I always say give it some time with the yen pairs. This is why I don't resonate with them, because I usually don't get what they're doing. When it comes to like a 4-hourly zone, you can take something like this. I'm just gonna delete this, right? Because I would like to look at my analysis like that. This is personally how I look at it. Or you can, of course, also embrace this whole area like that. So as the market is coming in right here, let's see how it develops. If it starts to very nicely trend to the downside, because you can see currently we're in this pullback. So if the market starts to trend nicely down, then of course you can start expecting this low to be taken. But of course, let's not forget that on the weekly time frame, we are bullish and we could be easily also headed for this high. So don't exclude the long possibility. So that's my Euro yen. I would say I am more bearish right now, but I also suspect a lot of bullishness because we have taken also lots of liquidity. I mean, have a look, we had a very nice uptrend and then all of these lows turn into potential liquidity and we just blasted through them. So right now the market is kind of a little bit of in a correction phase. So the question is, are we going to hold and make a new lower low, right? Or are we just going to continue to push up and up and up and up and eventually break out the high? So again, this you're going to know if you flow with the intraday price action on the 15-minute. This is why I love the 50-minute. So that's Euro yen, bearish 4-hourly bias. Daily time frame is a little bit 50-50. I would say it's overall bullish, but of course we can maybe expect like a little bit of a pullback to maybe even grab more liquidity and then continue going higher. But I would say, just guys, just to let you know, I am more bullish than bearish just because of the macro timeframes. So let me know what you think in the comments about Euro yen. That is my analysis so far. Next on the list are the Aussies. Let's have a look. So if you remember, Aussie dollar was stuck in a very big range for quite some time. It's a pair that was very hard to actually trade Aussie dollar. But again, just to follow through, we had a break structure right there in the weekly time frame, aligning it to bearish. We had this sort of pullback that took quite some time to develop. I mean, 9 bars, that is 9 weeks, which is like, what is it? Around 2.5 months, right? And then eventually we came in and broke out the low, which immediately makes this our major weekly lower high formation. Okay, so we're bearish. We just kind of broke this one right there last week, and then this week we have a bullish candle. So is it pulling back or is it just a liquidity grab in order for it to continue up? Like, this is the big question that usually you don't have an answer to. Okay, daily time frame, what I see on the daily right now is that we kind of broke lower, which is a pretty valid break, and then we broke higher. So what that means is that the daily time frame has aligned bullish. This can mean two things, either a reversal or just a pullback to pull us back into weekly, let's say weekly 50%, weekly supply, and then for us to start going up. That is the first liquidity area that I see that potentially the market could be seeking to take before it reverses down, right? So the last 2 days, really bullish, and probably the 4-hourly time frame is also going to be bullish. So when the market gets a bit too low and when it sweeps a lot of liquidity, again, usually you get a very strong pullback. So there it is. There is the very strong pullback. The thing is, this one right there is, I wouldn't really say this is a valid 4-hourly higher low formation right there. It could be a valid base demand. So we can expect the market to come in right there and then give us a 15-minute setup. But according to me, again, the valid hourly range is all the way down there, because this is also not valid according to me. Okay, so yeah, we're on the Forex. So currently we're trading, according to me, inside this range. So oftentimes when the market does this first trend change, it's going to give us like a little pullback and then continue going higher, right? So this is like the second outcome that I expect. This is the first one, and of course we can have a third one that the market pulls back deeper enough, right, and then give us an alignment right here. But I don't really expect this one, so I'm gonna stay with those two outcomes for now, targeting some sort of liquidity right there in order for us to later get like a bearish shift and start going with the weekly trend, which has been turned into bearish. So yeah, right now the market is like in this little pullback phase. On Friday we had, of course, NFP, so I'm gonna give it some time, let it see if it pulls back or if it starts like finding some sort of support right there, shifting on the 50-minute time frame to bullish, and then of course we can start looking for the long trades. But for now, let's give it some time. I am bullish. I'm absolutely bullish on the Aussie in terms of daily and hourly time frame, and I do believe, like thinking in terms of liquidity and tapping inside this very big weekly supply, it could seek like this could be like a level, and also I see one on the forward as well. So those could be some levels that we can attack before we start shifting to the downside. All right, so that's my Aussie dollar. I am bullish right now, and dropping onto AJ. Whoa, that's a nice push right there. So looking at this on the weekly time frame, again, we have a breakout structure right there, and then if you remember, we have a weekly supply that doesn't look like it wants to hold a lot. It came in, reacted, came in. So we have been tapping inside this supply for 5 weeks now, right? And this week is coming in very strong inside. So on the daily time frame, yeah, the problem about this one is that the daily time frame was inside this range. Higher low, higher high, pulls back, and then we started ranging in between, which really sucks. But finally on Friday, we came in and we took out that high. So right now, it's very important to actually see, all right, is it gonna sustain? Is it gonna continue pushing? Or is it gonna like take this liquidity and massively reject down? So very important positioning of price right now. I wouldn't really go long exactly right now, because we've taken like this major high, these two major highs, these highs right there, so lots of liquidity is collected, so we can expect a pullback. But the question is, right, is this pullback gonna like just pull back and then continue going higher, or is it gonna be a reversal? Because again, we are still bearish on the weekly. So let's see. I see a lot of bullishness within the Aussie pairs, but personally, I wouldn't really trade it at this time. You can, of course, look for shorts right now. I mean, you can be dropping on the 50-minute time frame, look for like for trend change, and then start taking some shorts like on Monday. But again, my macro outlook will be, let's wait for a pullback, and then, of course, let's just see what happens. Is it just gonna dump, or is it gonna pull back, give us like a higher low formation, shift on the 50-minute bullish, and then continue going higher, taking that weekly supply, which we can see didn't really hold, because we came in and immediately smacked all this liquidity. The market aligned bearish on the 4-hourly time frame, and like this was also our 4-hourly supply for a very long time, and it did not hold. But right now, everybody is short. Everybody is short from this level. Everybody got a stop loss right now. So it's very important to see what happens right now. Are we going to align bearish, or are we just going to continue pushing higher? So again, currently based on my 4-hourly analysis, I am bullish on AJ. I'm also bullish on the Aussies. So bullish outlook on the Aussies, which also supports that little bearishness on the Dixie if we're actually going to have another leg down. So let's see how it works out. Looks good. Let's see. Let's have a look at the NZDs, which pretty much always resemble the Aussies. Again, we have that similar break up here on the weekly. Then we have a trend change down, and you can see the market actually went above 50% 2 times, and it was just like the previous week. We printed a very nice engulfing candle, creating a brand new lower low formation. We of course have our weekly lower high supply, and again the question is, are we going to continue going bearish, or are we just like filling in this kind of range right there for us to continue going higher, right? So usually, guys, when you get the direction wrong, there is always something on the macro time frame, because like right now we're in the weekly. If I go on the monthly, right, you can say, monthly made this push, maybe broke the structure up, so it's actually bullish. If you zoom out a little bit, you can see that monthly is coming in from this demand, okay? So which is why I don't usually work a lot with macro direction, because again, there is always a macro of the macro, right? The market is fractal. So then transferring onto the daily time frame, unlike the Aussie, like if you remember the Aussie is very bullish and indeed has like a shift of structure. But let's also not forget that we have interest rates next week for the Aussie. This is something that I actually forgot to touch on. According to me here, we don't have a daily break. I mean, it really depends if you take this one as a break and then this one as a trend change up. I want you to compare the Aussie, clean pullback, quite a couple of candles of pullback, and I want you to compare this. This did not have any bullishness at all. So technically on the daily, like we could still be trading between this high and this low. Lots of imbalance right there to be filled. So dropping on the 4-hourly time frame, maybe the 4-hourly is going to be bullish. Yes, which it is, because yeah, we pretty much aligned right there. In fact, if we're even more valid, it aligned right here. And this right there, you can kind of also take this one as a higher low, but not really. It's more like a base. And it's already broken. So yeah, the major one is down there. So tricky situation right now because we're sitting at a very massive weekly lower low. What I also spotted from the weekly time frame is that NZD is weaker. Like you can see, for example, the Aussie, it's already printing a big bullish candle, while the NZD is kind of slacking a little bit behind. It's more on the weak side. So this one can, of course, definitely continue going down. I would love to also explore this possibility of this being a trend change, because this one to me actually looks like a valid higher low formation on the 4-hourly time frame. And right now we can have, like, for example, something like this. Okay, so this is what the situation that we're currently at. The market is roughly in the middle. If you pull back towards right there, you can start looking for some 50-minute alignment. But if you start pushing down the first thing in the week, then of course we can look for bullish alignments as well. So let's see how the Aussie is going to respond, because usually also the NZD responds to the Aussie. And let's of course see what kind of bias we're going to get early this week, and then of course how we can flow with it. But again, weekly lower low, we're on a pullback trade. We can expect the market to pull us back a little bit deeper, maybe to grab some more liquidity before continuing the weekly direction. So longs could definitely be in play, but also I will not exclude the shorts, because we have pulled back, we have taken like some liquidity on the left, and we can start heading to the downside. So I feel like going into the next week, we again need some time, because we're sitting like in a very peculiar weekly levels, right? So get some time, get some clear direction. Then of course the intraday opportunities, they're always there. So this is what I personally focus on. Take my trade, cash the London trade, then call it a day, right? So that's the NZD/USD. And let's check out NJ, which which had a breakup here, then we had a breakdown here, then technically the weekly aligned bullish, and then the overall weekly demand is right there. We're coming in, I see has been some sort of a liquidity grab. So you can see actually it might not be a liquidity grab, because this is actually the major daily higher low, but oftentimes it happens, they break. What caused the break? It's this. So right now we're tapping into the lower high supply that caused the break, and then dropping onto the 4H. Let's see if we're actually bullish. Yes, we are bullish. Broke down here, broke up there, and yeah, so we're trading currently between this low and this high. So the 4-hourly range is quite big. I don't like the majority of the pairs this week. Like, it's either like a big range, or it's either like a confusion between the macro timeframes, or is it just me out of shape? But we're tapping inside daily supply, but the 4-hourly time frame is bullish. So what you do in this case is you wait. We're probably going to have a little reaction, right? But then if that reaction turns a little bit bullish and starts to trend up, then of course you would like to follow this momentum, right? Because we're tapping inside this big demand zone. And we have also taken some liquidity, but also you should be aware that the daily is right now bearish technically, and we're tapping inside daily supply. So let's see, like the NZD looks a little bit weaker than the Aussie. Like if you remember the Aussies, they were very bullish. I mean, look at AJ and look at this one. This one is definitely weaker. So let's see. Personally, give it some time, especially for the JPY pairs. The USD pairs look a little bit cool because if the DXY actually holds from that supply and starts going down a little bit, we can have a nice long on the Aussie and a nice long, for example, on the NZD, right? So let's see. That's my outlook on the NZDs. Let's jump on to UJ, which is going to tell us what the JPY is actually doing. A big thing that happened some weeks ago, I mean, not some weeks ago, but yeah, around 2 weeks ago, is that we actually aligned bullish on the weekly time frame. This could be our weekly higher low formation, although again, I don't have rules on the weekly time frame, but this could definitely be the one. So we have a lot of bullishness on USD right? So the yen is technically bullish right now. We're sitting at a weekly higher high formation, and also this is also a valid daily higher low formation as well. So you can see the market pushed. We had a nice pullback this week, like 1, 2, 3, 4 days of a pullback. So you could have definitely gotten short. And then on Friday, NFP tapping into daily demand, we had a very nice bullish engulfing candle. So just reading this on the weekly, on the daily, and even on the 4H, we aligned bullish right there. So this just to me shouts longs. I mean, it could be wrong, something else could happen, but it just shouts to me longs. We just aligned bullish on the 4H, right? And then of course next target and next target. So hopefully we start with a little pullback, pull us back a little bit, and then give us a long setup to go long. But again, I'm just gonna say that the USD looks bullish. And if USD looks bullish, then of course all the other JPYs, like for example, this one can go bullish, this one can go bullish, and of course Euro Yen can also have a more bullish vibe, because UJ is like the DXY, but for the JPY pairs. So let's see. Weekly bullish, daily bullish, 4-hourly bullish. Everything is aligned. So if you get a long opportunity on UJ, then capitalize on it, right? We are a little bit high. We're a little bit high, but we printed a little bearish candle right there. So do we have another one as a pullback, or do we continue printing bullish candles, right? Again, this is, we don't know, but knowing UJ, it can keep going without a stop for quite some time if the fundamentals and if everything is right. So right now, everything is bullish. Let's see. Personally, I would love to see like a little bit of a pullback, not even a 50%, right? If I just use like a normal FIP, like 38.2 will be enough. So let's see if we pull back a little bit, and then of course get a long setup. So let's see, longs on UJ. Welcome to USD CAD, the pair that consolidates the majority of the time. So what we have right there on the weekly is pretty much a big range, and the last major higher low according to me is this one, right? And we have been struggling to pick a direction on the weekly, and again we have like a consolidation, and then we have a smaller consolidation within the big consolidation. This is why I pretty much don't like UCAD. Dropping on the daily time frame, let's have a look at structure objectively. There was a daily break. Here we kind of wicked the high, but it's not really valid. And then technically this was our daily higher low formation. It held, and we should be breaking this, but we did not break this. So that is very sketchy, because again we had a high, a higher low. Supposedly we should be breaking the high, but we stopped, and right now we're massively rejecting lower while we're still trading within this range. So daily time frame, confusing, and then the 4-hourly time frame is probably gonna be bearish, right? So if I have a look here, yeah, this one does not really look valid. But even if this right there is not valid, then this right there is valid. So we definitely have like a 4-hourly break. But if you counted this as your 4-hourly break, you can be taking shorts right from here. So again, this is your rules, but then according to my rules, this one, yeah, this one is very 50-50. Maybe if you go to another broker, it could be a valid pullback, right? So I would be taking it like with a grain of salt right there. But again, massive move lower. And we have interest rate next week on the CAT. So stay tuned for that, right? Still bullish on the daily. But you can see if I just zoom out, we're in an overall range. Right now, if I really zoom in once again, we also have a little structure break right there. We have a little bit of a supply right there. The market actually came in and it's giving us a short trade. Broke up, broke down, retested, there's your short. You should be running short right now. So let's see, UCAT, I never get this run right. Well, I sometimes get it right, of course, but I just don't like the pair. So let's see how it's going. This liquidity point is just about to be taken and then tap us again into the demand zone. And then of course we have interest rate decision. So let's see how it's going to develop right there. But currently what I would suggest, if you like early this week, you get like some sort of a short. Short is the bias right now. Let's see. Let me know guys what you think. I mean, Mihai is a master of UCAT. Let me know what you think. And yeah, that's my opinion on UCAT. I am neither bullish nor bearish. I would prefer to go bearish, but then as soon as we tap inside this demand and take this little low right there as liquidity, I would start to observe for potential long signals. So let's see. Let's have a look at the GBPs, which are always tricky pairs to analyze. So again, if you remember, like this is the last weekly break and we're overall bullish on the weekly. This is our last weekly demand higher low formation. Let's just make it blue. And then of course we have our overall PD range right there. And we're currently traveling towards the 50%. So we have like 1, 2, 3 bearish weeks. We have this candle that if you just look at the candle, right, it's not bullish. It didn't even engulf with a body the previous candle, and it has a very nice wick on top. So I feel like we still have some more bearishness left on the GBP. But again, if you remember, I think it was from a past weekly outlook, or maybe I shouted it to my team. All of these flat lows, they got taken, right? And you can see the last one got taken, boom, reaction, and actually we aligned bullish on the daily time frame right there. So technically, again, this is why I don't look too much on the daily time frame. I've been observing the daily a lot when it comes to liquidity, right, and where it's potentially gonna be going, and like, but when it comes to the trend, usually the daily, like weekly, daily, and 40 time frame are usually gonna have a contradiction. They're not gonna be together. Okay, so if we zoom in right here, there is a slight bit of a detail that we could actually have like something like this here, like a very recent and very compressed bearish alignment, right? But you can also have this little zone right there that can act as a very strong demand, or even also a major higher low if you don't count this one as one, because I know a lot of you prefer body breaks. But to me, this is a valid higher low, broke up, stayed a little bit right there, and then it just flushed down. Okay, so again, knowing usually after NFP, especially on Monday after NFP, you give it some time, don't rush, right? But I currently see like bullishness mostly on GU, especially as we have grabbed this liquidity. We haven't really pulled back to 50%, but we don't need to. We grabbed so much liquidity. We're aligned bullish on the daily. We're aligned right now bullish on the 4H. Well, not really, because we have a recent bearish shift. So let's see how it's going to respond from this demand, right? Very important. Like, look at the massive drop right there on yesterday. NFP came in and we just dropped massively after like an accumulation on the top. So right now for me, it will be very important to see, all right, are we just going to stop right there and maybe even align bullish on the 4H, or are we just going to continue flushing towards that daily zone? So again, guys, after NFP, I don't like analyzing because the market is usually like fast or wicky or indecisive, right? So let's give it a little bit time. Let's see how Monday opens. And then of course we have an update on Tuesday, and then we start crushing it. So I'm just going to say that I'm more long bias. Right, I'm more long bias because I really like all of these flat lows being taken, and I like exactly after the last one got taken, we immediately massively reacting up, right? But we also took out this high. We came very close to this high, but did we actually take it? No, we actually stopped right there, which is very strange. So again, let's see. We can of course have some more bearishness. We can go on, and right now with this recent bearish alignment, we can attack this low as well. Let's see, right? Let's just wait for Monday, and then we throw a better forecast. I would expect GJ to be bullish. Yeah, just look at this one. Massive bullishness, making a new high. That definitely looks like a weekly demand. Daily time frame should be bullish as well. I mean, yeah, UJ is bullish and the pound looks to be bullish, and we're just continuing to break up. So daily is bullish, weekly is bullish, and also 4 hourly. So I don't like the 4 hourly time frame on GJ. Like, look at this and look at this right now. I personally think this one is not tradable. Right now, if I look at it very objectively in terms of the 4 hourly time frame, where is the major? Wow. So let's start from here. Here we broke. What caused the break? What caused the break? This. There we broke down. Oops. There we broke down. What caused the break? This. Here we broke up. What caused the break? Yeah, it could also be this, but it could also be the low. And then since then, this looks valid. Broke up. And this looked like a demand zone, which kind of got retested already and broke up, but it did not create anything valid. So very, 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 very tough 4 hourly structure right there. And when the 4 hourly structure is tough, I just kind of usually skip it. Because according to me, this one right there is also a major higher low. It's not clearly seen, but it's also a major higher low. And as you can see, the market actually came in right there. It was very choppy, but still respected it. But as it respected it and actually broke the high, we did not have a new higher low created. It's still this one. So slightly bit sketchy, like if the market decides to grab some more liquidity, this one could break and we can even come in and break this one and then maybe align bullish once again. So in terms of GJ, I would once again give it some time, wait for Monday to play out and have a look at what the vibe is. But again, bullishness is definitely in here. The question is, okay, are we going to come in, take some more liquidity before we continue going higher, right? Or are we just going to continue going higher with the 4-hourly time frame? So let's see if we come in right there again. You can look for a long trade, but I would also expect for us to pull back right there. Wait for a new 4-hourly alignment, right? For the 4-hourly to turn bullish. And then of course we can continue with the overall weekly trend and the bullish JPY. So those are the GBPs. Let's have a look at gold. Let's have a look at gold. So we came in very close to the all-time highs, but we just stopped like just below them. And we also aligned bearish on the weekly time frame right here. We have also taken out this low just this week and we had like a little reaction. So again, according to me, right now we are technically bearish and this is like our big weekly supply. So are we going to come all the way down right there to fill in some empty space and like create a bigger pullback? Again, we don't know, but currently the vibe looks a little bit bearish and we have taken a lot of liquidity. Right, this low's right there, these lows right there, and then dropping onto the daily time frame. Well, the daily is still bearish. The last daily break is here, and then our last lower high supply is here. The market came in, actually reacted and took out the low, but then came in again. Wow, gold also looks pretty tricky. Oh wow, the 4-hourly time frame is just a mess. Oh, but this is from Thursday. No, yeah, there is Monday. So this week on gold, guys, did you have a a good time with gold this week? Like this week looks very suspicious right there. This thing right there. Right, broke down, then broke up, then technically here we broke up, and then technically it looks similar to GU right now that we covered, right? So technically right now, if I even ignore the daily, the 4-hourly is bearish right now, aligning bearish and a massive push phase, and usually after the first trend change, you don't get a big pullback. So what I would expect is maybe a slight pullback and for us to continue going lower. But again, also this depends on the DXY. So is the DXY gonna go down? Right, so that gold is gonna go up, or is the DXY gonna go up so gold goes down? So let's see. Let me just go back to the daily. Like the daily, yeah, the daily took a lot of liquidity when it comes to this little zone, right, this little trend line, and it hasn't taken much from the upside. So again, we can expect like for it to come in a little bit deeper before it starts going down. So let's see, but in terms of the 4-hourly time frame, we had a very strange week in terms of gold, but again, we right now have a very strong bearish momentum, so I would say let's follow it. But again, don't wait for a pullback like this. Wait for a brief pullback, higher low created, 50-minute trend change down, and then we go with it, right? And of course, next target could be this low. So let's see if gold is going to be bearish. Of course, give it some time after NFP, and let's see how it looks like on Tuesday. Let's have a look at some indices which are very interesting. We continue with the overall bullishness, right? So again, if you know, US 30 has broken weekly structure to the upside right there. We had a little bit of a pullback, then bullishness, then bearishness, and then you can see it kind of looks like an overall range right there. Swept the lows, pull back again, back into the range, right? So weekly time frame is very tricky. Last weekly candle is very bullish. Like this week we had a lot of bullishness. Like my stocks are going crazy and I didn't buy anything because I was expecting further downside. Here we swept the day, we continued down. It actually held from the supply. It came on and made the new lower low. And then right now, or just on Friday, we also aligned bullish on the daily. So that's a daily break, right? That is our daily higher low formation. And technically right now, US 30 is very bullish. Right now on the daily, it's also bullish on the weekly, and it's also bullish on the 4-hourly time frame. So this week in terms of US 30, I don't think it was great. I mean, we just had this kind of chop pre-NFP, and then again Thursday we had some news, it looks like, and then NFP came out and just boom, exploded. So usually when you have a pair or an instrument at a hard high, it's usually hard to trade because again you can expect the market to pull back. You don't know how far it's gonna pull back. So usually I wait for structure to form, another break, and then usually the second one is the best trade. So let's see. This right there is a valid 4-hourly zone that you can look for longs, but don't wait for a big pullback because this is the first kind of trend change. Well, in fact, it's not. I mean, on the 4-hourly we broke down here, then we broke up here. And then, yeah, we have been in this 4-hourly range for quite a while. Like this is the 4-hourly zone. The market actually came in and then it went on and broke out the week high. So this is technically a new structure break. right there. So there is the first one, there is the second one, right? So right now we can wait for a pullback and continue going long. So very bullish on US30, and then again just going on to the daily time frame. Again, we had like this little pullback. So right now, as the first high is taken, we can expect the second high to be taken, then we can eventually even expect this one to go. So let's see. And then again, just transferring onto NASDAQ, it aligned bullish on the weekly and it hasn't stopped since then. We're about to tap inside this supply, but again, you know, I don't look too much on the left, because if you look on the left, you get a reaction and then it continues to break. Daily time frame, very bullish. High low, high high. Right now we have another high high. We can take a new demand zone and then just drop to the 40 time frame. Very bullish, right? Very, very, very bullish. Again, it has like, usually indices have a little stop, have a little sharp move down, and then just continue, right? Here again, like have a stop, up, sharp move down. It actually aligns bearish right there and it just continues to go. Like when you have this very strong bullish sentiment, it just keeps going. All right, so NASDAQ right now, you can say that you have like a high low right there, although it's not very clean. It reminds me of GJ, like not very clean, kind of valid, but not very clean, right? So of course we can expect like another sharp drop inside the zone, inside the daily zone, and then a potential continuation. Okay, so NASDAQ, very bullish, but just be careful like with the intraday price action. Like when New York Stock Exchange comes in, of course there is a great strategy to trade, like takes liquidity and then it just runs away. So make sure to be careful around that time, but very bullish. And then of course, potential projections could be tapping inside this zone right there. And then from there, we're going to see what happens. S&P as well. Like look at S&P weekly time frame. This one is the only instrument that is still bearish on the weekly time frame, but it's coming in very close to taking out the weekly high right there. Daily time frame, bullish as well. Come on. There's the daily time frame, broke up right there, brand new breakup, brand new demand zone, hard high right now, sitting at a hard high, and the 40 time frame is the same, sitting at a hard high. So again, usually you wait for a pullback and then you just continue flowing with the flow. But yes, when you have a hard high, as I keep saying, it's usually hard to trade. So this is my zone. This is also my, I just don't like this, but you can take this one as a little volatile zone as well. Right, so just again wait for a little pullback and keep longing. I mean, it's just very clean. It's very clean that it's bullish. Again, it does this thing that I usually, this is why I don't like indices too much, because kind of it broke up, it broke down, then you're bearish, then you try to short from here, and then it just blasts through the roof. Right here as well, like it aligned bearish, then it broke down, but then here at least it aligned bullish. Right, sometimes it works very good, but sometimes it kind of throws a little sharp move down and then it just continues to move up. Right. So those are the indices. Very, very, very bullish. I'm just longs on the indices and hopefully we can get some trades. I mainly trade US30, which is starting to look a little bit better right now after we exited this ugly range. So let's see if we can catch some continuations. When it comes to cryptos are still ranging, right? You can see Bitcoin is just lingering around this kind of level. It's taken some liquidity below this low right here. Then it went on and took out the high. So right now we can expect for it to come out and take out the low. I'm personally looking for it to tap inside 50% right there and then maybe buy from like 25K. If I look at it from a buying perspective, I would be looking to buy for swings at 25K. So that's pretty much my very brief outlook on Bitcoin. Ethereum, I don't look at it right now. Right, I don't look at crypto right now at all, but it's interesting to see that we have a very nice recent bullishness and I'm curious to see how long it's going to continue. So I want to wrap it up here, right? We have a very interesting week ahead of us because after NFP, right, we have to see, okay, what is going to happen? How is the Dixie going to react from the positive NFP news, right? How the euro is going to react, tapping inside this very major weekly demand zone and taking all the daily liquidity, right? So stay tuned for Tuesday, in which we're going to have an outlook. Hopefully you guys are having an amazing week so far, an amazing start of the month as well. Well, it pretty much just started, and with NFP being over, we have a whole month ahead of us. So it's June. Let's focus. I'm still very busy, so sorry about that. I'm going to be coming in with some good content. I'm also working on a revamp for my private program, which is very exciting. So wishing you all the best. Have an amazing weekend. Have an amazing week ahead, and talk to you on Tuesday.